Billionaire's baby screaming at 35,000 feet. First-class passengers glaring with judgment. Then a poor black teenager from the back of the plane does something nobody expected, and in 60 seconds changes 2 lives forever. What happened next shocked everyone on that flight, and proved that sometimes the most powerful people in the world need help from the most unlikely heroes. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let's begin. Sir, if you can't control your child, we'll have to ask you to move to the rear cabin. Richard Whittaker stared at the flight attendant. Excuse me, Emma screamed louder. Her face was purple, tears everywhere. Richard bounced her. Nothing. He tried the bottle. She knocked it away. Milk splattered across his suit. We've received multiple complaints. Your daughter has been crying for over an hour. She's 6 months old. What do you want me to do? Perhaps you should have considered that before booking this flight. Heat rushed to Richard's face. Behind him, whispers, stares. The German businessman in 2A leaned forward. This is unacceptable. I paid $7,000 for peace and quiet. The elderly woman in 3C chimed in. Some people have no business traveling with infants. Richard spun around. I'm doing everything I can. Clearly not enough, the German said. The flight attendant touched Richard's arm. Sir, you have 20 minutes. If you can't calm her down, you'll need to relocate. She walked away. Emma's cries pierced the cabin. Richard tried singing. His voice cracked. He forgot the words. He walked the aisle again. Passengers pulled back like he carried a disease. For God's sake, someone muttered. Richard slumped into his seat. 17 minutes left. His hands shook. Emma sensed it. She screamed harder. 3 weeks. 3 weeks since Miranda left. Just walked out. Left him with Emma and a note. I can't do this anymore. She needs you now. Figure it out. Figure it out. Like he could Google how to be a father. Like there was a spreadsheet for this. He'd built an $8 billion company, negotiated with venture capitalists who crushed entrepreneurs for sport, but a 6-month-old baby was destroying him. Some father, the woman in 4B said, loud enough for him to hear. 15 minutes left. Excuse me, sir. Richard looked up. A teenage boy stood there, tall, skinny, maybe 16. His clothes were worn, his jeans had holes, his hoodie was too small. He was black. He had kind eyes. Not now, Richard said. Sir, I think I can help. I said not now. Richard's voice came out sharp. Emma screamed. My name's Noah. Noah Simon. I know I look like just some kid from the cheap seats, but I grew up with 7 younger cousins. I know babies. Richard stared. You think you can help? Yes, sir. So, what makes you qualified? You take some online course. No, sir. My grandmother raised 12 kids, taught me everything. Sometimes babies just need different hands. Different hands. Richard almost laughed, but Emma was still screaming and he had 14 minutes left. Fine, try. When you fail, don't make excuses. Thank you, sir. Can I hold her? Richard hesitated. He didn't know this kid. But Emma's cries were getting worse and passengers were standing now, craning their necks. Fine. Richard stood. He transferred Emma into Noah's arms. Noah adjusted his grip, confident, natural. He started swaying, side to side, then humming, low and soft. Emma kept crying. Richard felt vindication rising. See, it wasn't him. Some babies just cried. But Noah started singing. Quiet, clear. Something about stars and moonlight and angels. Emma's cries softened. Richard's breath caught. Noah kept singing, kept swaying. He turned slightly, positioned Emma so she could see down the aisle. He adjusted her head, shifted his hold, pressed her firmly against his chest. Emma's cries turned to whimpers. Everyone held their breath. Noah continued, his voice wrapped around Emma. He walked slowly. That same gentle sway. Passengers watched. The screaming baby who'd tortured them for an hour was quieting. Emma's whimpers faded to hiccups. Then silence. Complete silence. Noah turned back. Emma's eyes were drooping. Her fists unclenched. She sighed, nestled deeper. How? Richard couldn't finish. She was overtired, fighting sleep. The plane, the noise, all the new faces. She needed someone calm. Babies feel stress. They pick up on it. Something cracked in Richard's chest. Of course. Emma had felt everything. His desperation, his failure, his fear. I don't understand. I tried everything. You tried everything while scared. Babies need confidence. Even fake confidence. They need to think everything's okay. That's what my grandma always said. The flight attendant appeared, her mouth opened. Is she asleep or almost? Give her a few more minutes. Richard watched this stranger hold his daughter. This teenager from the back of the plane who'd done what he couldn't. Pride and shame fought inside him. Would you like her back, sir? No, I mean, if you don't mind holding her longer, just until she's fully asleep. I can do that. Mind if I sit? Richard gestured to his seat. The most expensive seat on the plane, now occupied by a kid in a worn hoodie holding a billionaire's baby. Noah sat carefully, kept Emma perfectly still. The flight attendant hovered. Thank you, Richard said. That doesn't cover it, but thank you. No problem, sir. She's beautiful. What's her name? Emma. Emma Grace Whitaker. That's pretty. How old? 6 months. 6 months and 3 days. They sat quiet, just the engine hum. Emma slept in Noah's arms, her chest rising and falling. So you're from the cheap seats. What brings you to London? Noah's face brightened. Math competition. International Mathematics Championship. At Imperial College. Math competition. You must be good. I try. Been doing competitions since I was 12. This is my first international one. My school raised money to send me. Took a whole year. Richard studied him closer. The worn clothes, the too small hoodie, the nervous energy under his calm. Where are you from? Chicago, South Side. Noah said it like a challenge. That's tough. It's home, not all bad, good people, my grandma, my mom, my cousins. They take care of each other. Your grandmother sounds special. She is. Raised 7 kids alone after my grandpa died. Then helped raise all us grandkids. Taught me everything important. How to cook, care for babies, treat people with respect. How to see past what people look like and see who they really are. The words hung there. Richard felt them settle over him. He thought about his first reaction, the dismissal, the assumption. I was rude to you when you first came up. I apologize. It's okay, you were stressed, and I know how it looks. Kid from the South Side in thrift store clothes trying to help a man in a suit that probably costs more than my mom makes in 6 months. I get it. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it human. We all make assumptions. The trick is learning from them. Richard smiled despite everything. That's wise for your age. How old are you? 16, 17, and 2 months. Traveling alone? Yes, sir. School couldn't afford a chaperone. My grandma made me promise to call every day and not talk to strangers and definitely not accept rides. Noah grinned. She'd probably count this as talking to strangers, but I figure helping a crying baby is an exception. Richard laughed. Real laughter, first time in weeks. Your grandmother sounds smart. She is. Smartest person I know. Tell me about this competition. Noah's whole face transformed. His eyes lit up. Words came faster. He explained the format, the problems. Problems the country's competing. Number theory. Algebraic geometry. He talked about math the way most teenagers talked about sports. Richard found himself fascinated, not just by Noah's knowledge, by his approach, his way of thinking through problems, seeing patterns where others saw chaos. You remind me of someone. Who? Me, 25 years ago, before I started my company, when I was just a kid with ideas and no money. Noah looked at Emma. You did okay, though. I did. But I lost a lot along the way, including the first 6 months of my daughter's life. Too busy building an empire to build a relationship with her. It's not too late. She's still little. You still got time. Maybe. Her mother left 3 weeks ago, said she couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't be married to someone who cared more about work than family. Was she right? The question caught Richard off guard. Most people would have offered platitudes, but Noah just looked at him with those honest eyes, waiting. Yes, she was right. I did care more about work. It was easier, more predictable. I knew how to succeed at work, but parenting, he shook his head. I have no idea. Nobody does at first. That's the secret. Everyone's just figuring it out. Including you. Especially me. I'm 16. I don't know anything. I just remember what my grandma taught me and try to use it when it matters. Emma stirred. Noah automatically adjusted, resumed swaying, hummed a few notes. She settled immediately. Will you teach me that? The song, the lullaby, and the swaying, whatever you're doing, I need to learn, before we land, before I'm alone with her again. Sure, it's not hard once you get the rhythm. Come sit next to me. Richard moved closer. For 30 minutes, Noah taught him. The lullaby. An old spiritual his grandmother learned from her grandmother. The proper way to hold a baby. How to support the head and neck. How to create security with body positioning. And the most important thing is staying calm yourself. Babies feel everything. If you're anxious, they're anxious. If you're calm, they're calm. Even if you're terrified inside Project Peace. Fake it till you make it. Exactly. They talked for another hour. About Emma, parenting, Noah's life in Chicago, the competition, dreams, fears. Richard opened up to this teenager in ways he never had with business partners or friends. Maybe it was the altitude, the exhaustion, or maybe Noah just listened without judgment, responded without agenda. Saw Richard not as a billionaire CEO, but as a struggling father who needed help. Eventually, Emma woke. Noah showed Richard how to transfer her carefully, maintain calm and security even as she changed hands. Richard held his breath, but Emma just blinked up at him, curious, calm. "Hey there, princess," Richard whispered. He used the gentle swaying Noah taught him. "Did you have a good nap?" Emma cooed softly. Tears pricked Richard's eyes. "There you go. See, you got this." "Thanks to you." Richard looked at the teenager who'd changed everything. "Listen, I know you've got the competition, but I'm going to be in London for a week. Business meetings mostly. Would you consider helping me with Emma? I'll pay you well, very well. Won't interfere with your competition schedule." Noah hesitated. "Sir, that's generous, but I don't know. I'm supposed to focus on the competition." "Please." Richard wasn't above begging. "You've shown me more in 1 hour than I learned in 6 months. Emma responds to you. She trusts you. I need that. She needs that. Name your price." "It's not about money, sir." "Then what?" Noah looked at his worn sneakers. "I don't want charity. I don't want to be your project or your good deed. If I help you, it's because I want to help a baby who needs care and a dad who's trying his best. Not because you're rich and I'm poor." Richard felt something shift. Respect. Deep respect for this kid who had every reason to take advantage but chose dignity instead. "Fair enough. How about this? You help me with Emma, teach me what you know, and in return I attend your competition. Support you the way your school supported you. No charity, just one person helping another." Noah looked up, surprise clear on his face. "You'd do that, I'd be honored." Noah didn't speak for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, yeah, I can do that." They shook hands, the billionaire and the teenager from the South Side. Two people from completely different worlds brought together by a crying baby at 35,000 feet. The flight attendant returned. "Everything okay here?" "Everything's perfect," Richard said. He looked at Emma, who was playing with his tie and babbling happily. "Absolutely perfect." Noah returned to his seat in economy, but Richard got his contact information, hotel details, competition schedule. They'd meet tomorrow morning. Richard pulled out his phone, started typing an email to his assistant. "Find everything you can about Noah Simon, Chicago, Southside, math competitions." He hit send, then deleted it. Something felt wrong about investigating the kid. Noah had helped him without agenda, without expecting anything. The least Richard could do was trust him. But old habits died hard. Richard opened his phone again. This time he searched International Mathematics Championship. The website loaded. List of competitors. There was Noah's name. Chicago Academy of Sciences. One of only 3 American students selected. Richard scrolled through the other names. Kids from China, Russia, India, South Korea, all representing elite schools, prestigious academies, and then Noah Simon, from a public school on the South Side. "Remarkable," Richard whispered. Emma gurgled in his arms. Richard looked down at her, really looked at her, not as a problem to solve, not as evidence of his failure, but as his daughter, his beautiful, perfect daughter who just needed him to be present. "I'm sorry, Emma," he whispered. "I'm sorry I haven't been there. I'm sorry I let work consume me. I'm sorry your mom had to leave because I was too blind to see what mattered." He kissed her forehead. "But I'm here now. I'm going to learn. I'm going to be better, I promise." Emma reached up, grabbed his nose, giggled. Richard laughed through tears. The plane started descending, London emerging from the clouds. Richard looked out the window. 24 hours ago, he'd dreaded this trip, dreaded being alone with Emma, dreading the chaos, dreading his inadequacy. Now he felt hope, gratitude, a strange sense that his life had just pivoted, all because a poor black boy from Chicago had the courage to step forward. had the compassion to help, had the wisdom to see past wealth and status to the human need beneath. The plane touched down. Passengers gathered belongings. Richard stayed seated. He had a week in London, a week to learn from Noah, a week to become the father Emma deserved. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Welcome to London Heathrow. Local time is 6:42 a.m. Temperature is 12 degrees Celsius." Richard gathered his things, carefully placed Emma in her carrier. She didn't cry. She just looked around, curious and calm. He made his way to the exit. The flight attendant who'd threatened to move him smiled warmly now. "She's precious. You're very lucky." "I am," Richard agreed. "Very lucky." He walked up the jetway. Through customs, collected his luggage. The whole time Emma stayed calm, content, like she knew something had changed, like she felt her father's new resolve. Richard checked his phone, a text from his assistant. "Car is waiting outside arrivals. Driver has your name." But there was another notification, an unknown number. Richard opened it. "Hey, Mr. Whitaker, it's Noah. Just wanted to say thanks again for being cool about everything. Most people wouldn't have let me help. See you tomorrow. Get some rest. You look exhausted. LOL." Richard smiled, started typing a response, then stopped. A woman was staring at him from across the baggage claim. Mid-50s, expensive clothes, designer luggage. She had her phone out, pointed at him, taking pictures. Richard's smile faded. "Can I help you?" The woman lowered her phone. "Richard Whitaker, right? The tech CEO." "Yes. I was on your flight, saw everything that happened with your baby and that black boy from Economy." Something in her tone made Richard's skin crawl. "And just thought it was interesting, powerful white CEO letting some poor kid handle his baby. Very progressive of you." She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "I'm sure my followers would love to hear about it." "Your followers?" "I'm an influencer. Lifestyle and commentary. 3 million followers across platforms." She walked closer. "Don't worry, I'll make you look good. Billionaire shows humility and all of that. Great optics." Richard's jaw tightened. "That's not what happened." "Of course not, but that's how it'll play. You know how these things work." She gestured to Emma. "Cute baby, by the way. Where's Mom?" "That's none of your business." "Single father narrative. Even better. My audience will eat this up." She started typing on her phone. "Do you have a statement about choosing to let an underprivileged youth care for your child?" "He wasn't underprivileged. He was helpful. There's a difference." "Is there?" She looked up. "In today's world, everything's a narrative, Mr. Whitaker. Everything's content. And this is gold." She walked away. Left Richard standing there with Emma and a sick feeling in his stomach. He pulled out his phone, texted Noah. "Hey, need to talk. Something came up. Can you call me when you get a chance?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Is everything okay?" Richard started to type. Stopped. He didn't know how to explain. Didn't know if he should explain. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe the woman was just talking. But Richard Whitaker hadn't built an empire by ignoring red flags. He typed back. "Everything's fine. Just want to touch base before tomorrow. Get settled. Call me when you can." "Will do. Thanks again, Mr. Whitaker." Richard pocketed his phone, headed toward the exit. The driver was waiting. Professional, courteous, helped with luggage, opened the door. Richard settled into the back seat with Emma. London traffic rushed past the windows. Gray skies. Rain starting. His phone buzzed. Email notification. From his head of PR. Subject line urgent. Social media situation. Richard's stomach dropped. He opened the email. "Richard, we're seeing some posts circulating about an incident on your flight. Photos of you with a teenager and Emma. The narrative is getting away from us. Need to discuss strategy ASAP. Call me." Richard closed his eyes. 20 minutes. He'd been on the ground 20 minutes and it was already starting. Emma cooed in his arms. Oblivious. Innocent. She grabbed his finger. Held on tight. "It's okay, princess," Richard whispered. "Everything's going to be okay." But for the first time since Noah had calmed her on the plane, Richard wasn't sure he believed it. His phone buzzed again. Another text. Another unknown number. "Mr. Whitaker, this is Jennifer Chen from The Guardian. I'd like to speak with you about the viral story involving you and a minor on your flight today. Please call me at your earliest convenience." Then another. "Richard Whitaker TMZ here. We're running a story about..." Richard silenced his phone. Looked out the window. The rain was getting heavier now, London dissolving into gray. He thought about Noah, probably just getting through customs, probably excited about the competition, probably had no idea his act of kindness was about to become a story, a narrative, content. Richard's grip tightened on Emma. "What have I done?" he whispered. The car drove on through the rain, toward the hotel, toward tomorrow, toward whatever came next. And Richard Whittaker, the man who always had a plan, the CEO who'd built an empire on calculated decisions, realized he had absolutely no idea what that would be. Richard didn't sleep. He tried. Emma was finally peaceful in the hotel crib, exhausted from the flight. But every time he closed his eyes, his phone lit up with another notification, another email, another text from journalists wanting a statement. At 3 a.m. he gave up, sat at the desk, opened his laptop, searched his own name. The first result made his blood run cold. Billionaire CEO caught using teen as free babysitter on flight. He clicked. The article loaded. There were photos, him looking exhausted, Emma screaming, Noah holding her. The angle made it look staged, calculated, like Richard had planned the whole thing. The comments section was worse. Rich people think they can use anyone. That poor kid probably thought he had no choice. Where's the mother? Probably left because he's a terrible father. Richard scrolled faster. More articles, more posts. The story had spread across platforms. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone knew exactly what had happened, even though they weren't there. His phone rang. His PR director. Richard answered. "Tell me you have good news, Marcus." "I have a strategy. Not sure you'll call it good news." "Try me." "We issue a statement. Say you were struggling with your daughter. A kind young man offered to help. You're grateful. You're planning to compensate him for his time. We spin it as a heartwarming story about human kindness." "That's not what happened." "Richard, it doesn't matter what happened. It matters what people think happened. And right now, they think you exploited a kid." Richard rubbed his eyes. "Noah wasn't exploited. He volunteered. And I'm not paying him. He refused payment." "Then what are you doing?" "I'm attending his math competition, supporting him." Silence on the other end. "Marcus, that's worse?" "How is that worse?" "Because now it looks like you're inserting yourself into this kid's life. Rich white savior energy. The optics are terrible." Richard stood, walked to the window. London was waking up, gray and cold and indifferent. "So what do you suggest? I just abandon him? Pretend yesterday didn't happen." "I'm suggesting you think very carefully about your next moves. This story has legs. It's going to run for days, maybe weeks. Everything you do with this boy will be scrutinized, analyzed, twisted. His name is Noah." "What?" "His name is Noah, not this boy, not the kid, Noah Simon, and he's a math genius competing for his country. He deserves better than being reduced to a narrative." Marcus sighed. "Richard, I understand you feel grateful, but gratitude doesn't protect you from bad press, and it certainly doesn't protect him." "Protect him from what?" "From becoming a story, from having his life dissected by millions of strangers, from people who'll dig into his background, his family, his school. Is that what you want for Noah?" Richard's stomach turned. He hadn't thought about that, hadn't considered that his gratitude might hurt the person he was trying to help. "What do I do?" "Nothing. Radio silence. Let me handle the press. You focus on your meetings. Keep your head down. And for God's sake, don't post anything on social media." "I don't even use social media." "Good. Keep it that way." Marcus hung up. Richard stood there holding his phone, feeling helpless. Again. Different situation. Same feeling. Emma stirred in her crib, made a soft sound. Richard went to her, looked down at her sleeping face. So peaceful, so innocent. She had no idea her father was trending on Twitter, that strangers were debating his character, judging his choices. His phone buzzed. Text from Noah. "Hey, Mr. Whittaker. Just saw the news. Are you okay? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause problems." Richard's chest tightened. Noah was apologizing, for helping, for being kind, for doing what any decent person would do. He typed back, "You have nothing to apologize for. None of this is your fault. Are you okay?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just weird seeing my face on the internet. My mom called. She's worried. My grandma wants to know if you're a good person or if I should stay away from you." Richard smiled despite everything. "What did you tell her?" "That you're a good person. A good dad trying his best, that I want to help if I can. And what did she say? She said, trust my gut, and my gut says you need a friend right now, so here I am. Richard sat down on the bed, read the message again. This kid, this remarkable kid who had every reason to walk away, to protect himself from the mess, but instead he was offering friendship. Thank you, Noah. That means more than you know. So are we still meeting today for the Emma lessons? Richard hesitated. Marcus's warning echoed in his head. Everything you do will be scrutinized, twisted. But then he looked at Emma, at his daughter who finally slept peacefully because Noah had taught him how, at the promise he'd made to be better, to be present. He typed back, yes, absolutely. What time works for you? Competition doesn't start until tomorrow. I'm free all day. Want to meet for breakfast? Perfect. There's a cafe near my hotel. The Bluebird. Know it. I'll find it. 9, okay. 9 is perfect. Richard set his phone down, took a shower, shaved, put on fresh clothes, tried to look like a man who had his life together, who wasn't imploding on social media, who knew what he was doing. By 8:30, he had Emma fed, changed, and loaded into a stroller he'd ordered from the hotel concierge. By 8:45, they were walking through South Kensington. By 8:50, they were at the cafe. Noah was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking nervous. He stood when Richard approached. Hey, Mr. Whitaker? Richard, please, Mr. Whitaker makes me feel old. Noah smiled. Okay, Richard. They sat. A waitress came over. Richard ordered coffee. Noah ordered tea and looked embarrassed when he saw the prices. Get whatever you want, Richard said. Breakfast is on me. I don't want to... Noah, please, let me do this. You helped me yesterday. Let me buy you breakfast. Noah nodded, ordered eggs and toast. Richard ordered the same. The waitress left. Silence fell between them. Awkward. Heavy. So, Noah said finally. This is weird, right? Richard laughed. Very weird. I mean, yesterday we were on a plane. You were just a guy with a crying baby. I was just a kid who knew some lullabies. And now, he gestured vaguely. Now we're trending on Twitter. You saw the posts. Hard not to. My phone's been blowing up. Kids from school, teachers, people I don't even know sending me screenshots. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's not your fault. Noah leaned forward. But I gotta ask, are you okay, like really okay, because some of those articles are brutal? Richard sighed. I've had better weeks. Want to talk about it? Not particularly. Okay? Noah sat back. Then let's talk about something else. How's Emma? As if on cue, Emma woke up, looked around, saw Noah. Her face lit up. There she is, Noah said softly. Hey, Emma, remember me? Emma kicked her legs, made happy sounds. I think that's a yes, Richard said. Noah reached over, gently touched Emma's hand. She grabbed his finger, held tight. She's got a good grip, Noah said. That's a good sign. Means she's getting stronger. How do you know all this? Told you. 7 younger cousins. Been around babies my whole life. Noah smiled at Emma. Plus my grandma made me read all these baby books when my cousin Jasmine was born. She wanted me to be prepared. Prepared for what? For helping, for being useful. She always says every person in a family has to contribute, even the kids. The food arrived. They ate, talked. The conversation flowed easier now. Noah told stories about his cousins, about growing up on the South Side, about his grandmother's wisdom, about his mom working 2 jobs to keep them afloat. She's a nurse, Noah said. Works at Cook County Hospital, night shifts mostly. Sometimes I don't see her for days, but she's always there when it matters, always making sure I have what I need for school, for competitions. She sounds incredible. She is. Noah pushed his eggs around. I'm lucky, I know that. Lots of kids in my neighborhood don't have what I have, don't have parents who push them, teachers who believe in them, a community that raises money so they can compete in London. Your community raised money for this trip. Every penny, bake sales, car washes, GoFundMe. It took a year, but they did it, because they believe in me. Noah's voice cracked slightly. I can't let them down. I can't go home empty-handed. You won't? You don't know that? I do. I looked you up. Read about your previous competitions. You're phenomenal, Noah. Truly gifted. Noah looked uncomfortable. I just like math, like solving problems, finding patterns. It's more than that. You see things other people don't. You think differently. That's not just liking math. That's genius. I'm not a genius. Yes, you are. Richard leaned forward. And I think you're scared of admitting it because if you admit it, the pressure becomes real. The expectations become crushing. And what if you fail? What if you're not as good as everyone thinks? Noah stared at him. How did you... Because I felt the same way. When I started my company, everyone kept calling me a visionary, a genius. And all I could think was, what if they're wrong? What if I'm just lucky? What if I fail and prove I was never that special to begin with? Did you fail? Many times, but I learned that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. You fail, you learn, you try again, and eventually you succeed. Noah was quiet for a moment. Did your parents support you when you started your company? Richard's jaw tightened. No, they thought I was wasting my potential, wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor, something respectable. When I dropped out of Stanford to start my company, my father stopped speaking to me. Wow. Wow is right. We didn't talk for 3 years. Not until my company went public. Then suddenly he was proud. Suddenly I'd made the right choice. That must have hurt. It did. Still does sometimes. Richard looked at Emma. That's why I don't want to be that kind of father. The kind who only shows up for the wins. Who only loves conditionally. Emma deserves better. Every kid deserves better. Noah nodded slowly. My dad left when I was 5. Just walked out one day. Never came back, never called, never sent money. Nothing. I'm sorry. Don't be. My mom says sometimes absence is a gift, because if he'd stayed, he would have been toxic, would have brought us down. Better to have one good parent than 2 bad ones. Your mom's very wise. She is. Noah smiled. But sometimes, I wonder, what if he'd stayed? What if he'd tried? Would I be different? Would my life be different? Maybe, but not better. You're extraordinary, Noah. And you got that way because of your mom and your grandmother and your community. Not despite your father's absence. Because of the people who chose to stay. Noah's eyes got shiny. He blinked rapidly. Thanks. That helps? Emma started fussing. Richard reached for her, lifted her from the stroller. She immediately calmed when he held her the way Noah had taught him. Firm, confident, secure. Look at you, Noah said. Natural. Hardly, but I'm learning. That's all anyone can do. They finished breakfast. Richard paid. They walked outside. London was fully awake now. People rushing past, cars honking, life happening. So what now? Noah asked. Now I teach you what I know. What do you mean? You taught me about babies, about staying calm, about confidence. Now I want to teach you about confidence in competition, about handling pressure, about believing you deserve to win. Noah looked skeptical. I don't think math competitions and business are the same thing. They're more similar than you think. Both require strategy. Both require mental toughness. Both require believing in yourself even when everyone's watching. Richard pulled out his phone. I cleared my afternoon. If you're free, I want to work with you. Help you prepare. Richard, you don't have to. I want to. Please, let me do this. Noah studied him. Okay, yeah, let's do it. They went back to Richard's hotel, set up in the business center. For 4 hours, Richard coached Noah, not on math. Noah didn't need help with math, but on mindset, on visualization, on handling pressure when the whole world was watching. Close your eyes, Richard said. Picture yourself in the competition. The room is silent. Everyone's waiting for your answer. Your heart is racing. Your hands are shaking. What do? I breathe. Good, then what? I remember why I'm there. I remember my community, my mom, my grandma, all the people who believed in me. And I remember that I belong there, that I earned my spot, that I'm exactly as good as anyone else in that room. Better? Noah opened his eyes. What? You're better, not arrogant, just factual. You're better than most people in that room. Own it. I can't just give you... Yes, you can because it's true. Your scores prove it. Your track record proves it. The only person who doesn't believe it is you. Noah sat back. My grandma always says pride comes before a fall. There's a difference between pride and confidence. Pride is thinking you're better than you are. Confidence is knowing exactly what you're capable of and not apologizing for it. They worked through scenarios, mock problems, time pressure, distraction techniques. Richard pushed Noah, challenged him, made him uncomfortable. Why are you doing this? Noah asked during a break. Really? Why do you care? Richard looked at Emma napping in her carrier. Because someone once believed in me when no one else did. My college roommate. He was the only one who didn't think I was crazy for dropping out. He helped me write my first business plan, introduced me to investors, believed in me before I believed in myself. What happened to him? He died, car accident, 2 weeks before we closed our Series A funding. Richard's voice got quiet. I never got to thank him properly. Never got to show him what we built together. So now when I see someone with potential, someone who just needs a push, I think of him. I think maybe I can be for them what he was for me. Noah didn't say anything, just reached over and squeezed Richard's shoulder. They kept working. Hours passed. Emma woke up. Noah showed Richard how to change a diaper properly, how to make a bottle at the right temperature, how to burp her without making her spit up everywhere. You're getting good at this, Noah said. I have a good teacher. At 7 p.m., Richard's phone rang. Marcus, his PR director. I need to take this, Richard said. Go ahead, I'll watch Emma. Richard stepped into the hallway, answered. Marcus? Have you seen the latest? No, I've been offline all day. Good, keep it that way. The story's evolving. Now they're saying you're trying to recruit Noah, steal him from his family, turn him into some kind of protege. Richard's blood went cold. That's insane. Doesn't matter. It's the narrative. And there are photos of you two at the cafe this morning. Someone recognized you, posted it. Now everyone's analyzing your body language, making assumptions. We had breakfast, that's it. Richard, I'm telling you as your friend, not just your PR guy. Back off. Let this blow over. You cannot win this fight. I'm not fighting, I'm just trying to help a kid. And that help is being weaponized against you, against him. Is that what you want? Richard closed his eyes. No. Then distance yourself, politely, kindly, but do it. Before this gets worse? Marcus hung up. Richard stood in the hallway, feeling the walls close in, feeling trapped by good intentions. He went back to the business center. Noah was on the floor, playing with Emma, making her laugh. Pure, simple, innocent. Noah looked up. Everything okay? Richard forced a smile. Fine, just work stuff. But Noah wasn't fooled. You're a terrible liar. It's nothing. Richard, we're friends now. Friends don't lie to each other. What's going on? Richard sat down, told him everything. The calls from Marcus, the evolving narrative, the photos from this morning, the advice to distance himself. Noah listened. His expression never changed. When Richard finished, Noah was quiet for a long moment. So what are you going to do? Noah asked finally. I don't know. Yes, you do. Richard looked at him. What do you mean? You know what the right thing is. You're just scared to do it because it might cost you something. It might cost you too. Maybe. But I'm not scared of that. Are you? Richard thought about Marcus's warning. About the articles, the comments, the scrutiny. He thought about his company, his reputation, his carefully constructed life. Then he looked at Emma, at Noah, at two people who trusted him to do the right thing regardless of cost. No, got it, Richard said. I'm not scared. Good. Then tomorrow you come to my competition. You sit in the audience. You cheer when I get an answer right. And you don't apologize to anyone for being a good person. It's not that simple. Yeah, it is. The world wants to make it complicated, but it's not. You helped me. I helped you. Now we help each other. That's what friends do. Richard felt something loosen in his chest, something he'd been holding on to for years. The need for control, for perfection, for everyone's approval. Okay, he said. Okay, I'll be there. Noah grinned. Good. Now let's order room service. I'm starving. And you're buying because you're rich and I'm poor, and that's what rich friends do for poor friends. Richard laughed. Deal. They ordered dinner, ate, talked, made plans for tomorrow, for the competition, for after. Noah would help Richard with Emma in the mornings. Richard would help Noah prep for the final rounds. Partners, friends, two people from different worlds figuring it out together. At 9 p.m. Noah left, headed back to his hotel near Imperial College. Richard walked him to the lobby. Thanks for today, Noah said, for everything. Thank you for not giving up on me. Never. You're stuck with me now. They hugged, brief, awkward, but genuine. Then Noah was gone, disappearing into the London night. Richard went back upstairs, put Emma to bed. She went down easy, no fussing, no crying, just peaceful sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed, pulled out his phone, opened Twitter against his better judgment. The first thing he saw made him smile. A new post from someone who'd been on their flight. Different from the others. Different angle. Everyone's talking about the billionaire and the teen on my flight. But here's what actually happened. A baby was crying. A dad was struggling. A kind kid helped. Then they talked for hours like old friends. It was beautiful. Not everything is a scandal. Sometimes it's just humanity. The post had 50,000 likes, growing by the second. The comments were different too, kinder, more thoughtful. We need more stories like this. Faith in humanity restored. This is what community looks like. Richard's phone buzzed. Text from Noah. Saw the new post. Told you it would be okay. People aren't as bad as you think. Most of them anyway. Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. I'm going to win this thing. Richard smiled. Typed back. Yes, you are. See you tomorrow, champ. He set his phone down, looked out the window at London lights, at the city spreading out below him, at the world that had judged him, scrutinized him, almost broken him, but hadn't. Because somewhere in Chicago, a grandmother had taught a boy about kindness, about helping people even when it was hard, about seeing past surfaces to souls, and that boy had taught a billionaire the same lessons. Richard closed his eyes. For the first time in 3 weeks, he felt peace. Real peace. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of purpose. Tomorrow, Noah would compete. Richard would watch. Emma would be there. And whatever happened after whatever the world said or thought or wrote, they would face it together. Because that's what friends did. That's what family did. And somehow, in the span of 24 hours, they'd become both. Richard woke at 5 a.m. to Emma's crying. Not the desperate screaming from the plane, just hungry crying. Normal crying. He got up, made a bottle, used the technique Noah taught him. Emma quieted immediately. We're getting good at this, Princess, Gimel, he whispered. His phone lit up. Text from Noah. Can't sleep, too nervous, competition starts in 4 hours. Richard typed back with one hand while feeding Emma. That's normal. Channel the nerves into focus. Remember what we practiced. Easy for you to say. You're not about to compete against kids who've been training for this their whole lives. You've been training your whole life too. You just didn't have fancy tutors. You had something better. You had hunger. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Thanks, I needed that. See you there. Wouldn't miss it. Richard fed Emma, changed her, dressed her in a little outfit the hotel concierge had arranged. Pink dress with matching headband. She looked perfect. He put on his best suit not because he was trying to impress anyone, because Noah deserved to see his friends showing up with respect. With intention. By 7:30, they were in a cab heading to Imperial College. Richard's phone buzzed continuously. Marcus, his assistant, board members, everyone wanting to know where he was, why he wasn't at his scheduled meetings. He ignored them all. The cab pulled up to the mathematics building. Students were already arriving. Kids from all over the world, wearing their country's colors, carrying Lucky Charms, looking nervous and excited and young. Richard paid the driver, lifted Emma from her carrier, walked toward the entrance. Mr. Whitaker? He turned. A woman approached. Mid-40s. Professional attire. Warm smile. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, competition director. We spoke briefly on the phone yesterday. Richard's stomach dropped. He hadn't spoken to anyone on the phone yesterday. I think there's been a mistake. Oh, her smile faltered. I received a call from someone claiming to be your assistant. They said you wanted to sponsor a hospitality suite for the American competitors. Food, drinks, a space to decompress between rounds. Richard's jaw tightened. Marcus, his PR director, had made the call without permission, trying to control the narrative, make it look like Richard was just a generous sponsor, not a friend. Dr. Chen, I apologize. That call was made without my authorization. I'm not here as a sponsor. Oh, then why are you here? I'm here to watch a friend compete. Noah Simon? Her expression changed. Recognition. You're the man from the plane. Yes? I see? She glanced at Emma. And you brought your daughter. I did. Mr. Whitaker, I need to be frank with you. Your presence here is complicated. We've received calls from media outlets, requests for interviews, questions about your relationship with Noah. It's become a distraction. Richard's chest tightened. I don't want to be a distraction. I just want to support my friend. I understand, but Noah is about to compete in the most important mathematics competition of his young life. The pressure is enormous. Adding media scrutiny on top of that. She trailed off. You want me to leave? I want what's best for Noah. And right now, I'm not sure your presence helps him. Richard looked down at Emma. She was playing with his tie. Oblivious. Happy. He thought about what Marcus said, what Dr. Chen was saying. Everyone telling him the same thing. Back off. Distance yourself. Protect the kid by leaving him alone. But then he remembered Noah's text, his words last night. Friends don't abandon each other. Dr. Chen, with all due respect, that's Noah's decision to make. Not mine, not yours. If he wants me to leave, I'll leave, but I'm not going to disappear without giving him that choice. She studied him for a long moment. Fair enough, he's inside, prep room B. You have 10 minutes before the opening ceremony. Thank you. Richard walked inside. The building was impressive. High ceilings, modern design, photos of famous mathematicians lining the walls. He found prep room B, knocked softly. Come in? Noah was sitting at a desk, papers spread everywhere, calculator, pencils. He looked up. His face transformed when he saw Richard. You came. Of course I came. Noah stood, walked over, hugged him, tight, desperate. I'm so glad you're here. I've been freaking out all morning. That's okay. Freaking out means you care. It means this matters. It matters too much. What if I mess up? What if I embarrass everyone who believed in me? Richard set Emma's carrier down, put both hands on Noah's shoulders. Look at me. You are going to walk into that room. You're going to see those problems, and you're going to solve them. Not because you have to, because you can. Because math is your language, your superpower, and no amount of pressure changes that. Noah took a shaky breath. What if I freeze? Then you breathe. You remember why you're here, and you trust yourself. I don't know if I can. Yes, you can, because you already did. On that plane. When you walked up to a stranger and offered to help, that took courage. That took confidence. You have both. You just need to remember. Emma made a sound. Noah looked down at her, smiled despite his nerves. She's so cute in that dress. She wanted to look nice for your big day. Noah laughed, watery, but real. Thanks for being here, for believing in me. Always. Someone knocked on the door. 5 minutes, Mr. Simon. Noah nodded, gathered his papers, put them in a folder, took a deep breath. This is it. This is it. Now go show them what a kid from the South Side can do. They walked to the auditorium together. It was packed. Hundreds of people. Parents, teachers, coaches, media. Richard found a seat near the back, tried to be invisible. Emma sat in his lap, content. The lights dimmed. Dr. Chen took the stage. Welcome to the International Mathematics Championship. We have 64 competitors for Tutbomwas from 32 countries. Over the next 2 days, they will face increasingly difficult problems. Only one will emerge as champion. She explained the rules, the format, the judging criteria. Richard barely listened. He was watching Noah, sitting in the front row with the other American competitors, looking small, looking young, looking terrified. Round 1 begins now. Competitors, please take your stations. The students moved to individual desks spread throughout the auditorium. Each desk had a computer, a tablet for calculations, a camera to record their work. You have 45 minutes to solve 3 problems. Begin. The room went silent. 64 kids staring at screens, thinking, calculating, writing. Richard watched Noah. For the first 5 minutes, Noah didn't move, just stared at his screen. Richard's heart sank. He was freezing, panicking. Everything they'd worked on yesterday was evaporating under pressure. Then Noah picked up his pencil, started writing slow at first, then faster. Then, his hand moving across the tablet, equations flowing, confidence building. Emma squirmed. Richard bounced her gently, kept his eyes on Noah. 20 minutes passed. Some competitors were finished. Others looked frustrated. A girl from China stood up, submitted her answers. The screen showed her score. Perfect, 3 for 3. 30 minutes, more finishers. A boy from Russia, perfect. A girl from India, 2 out of 3. Noah was still working, his face intense, focused, alive. 40 minutes. Most competitors were done, only a handful still working. Noah among them. 5 minutes remaining. Noah's pencil moved faster. He was checking his work. Richard could tell, going back through each problem, verifying, making sure. 2 minutes. Noah submitted his first answer, then his second. He was still working on the third. 1 minute. Noah's pencil flew across the tablet. Richard held his breath. Emma grabbed his finger, squeezed. 30 seconds. Noah submitted his third answer, slumped back in his chair, exhaled. Time, pencils down. The room relaxed. Competitors stood, stretched, talked quietly. The judges tallied scores. Dr. Chen returned to the stage. Results for round 1. The screen lit up. Names, countries, scores. Richard scanned for Noah's name. There. Noah Simon, United States. 3 out of 3. Perfect score. Richard's eyes burned. He blinked rapidly. Bounced Emma. He did it, Princess, he did it! But the celebration was short-lived. Out of 64 competitors, 42 had perfect scores. Round 1 was just the warm-up. We will take a 15-minute break. Round 2 will be significantly more challenging. Good luck to all competitors. Richard made his way to Noah. The kid was surrounded by other American competitors, congratulating him, celebrating. When Noah saw Richard, he broke away. I did it. I actually did it. I never doubted you for a second. Liar. I saw your face when I was just sitting there. You thought I was done. Maybe for a second, but then you proved me wrong. Noah grinned. Looked at Emma. What did she think? She slept through most of it. No appreciation for mathematical genius. They laughed. It felt good. Normal. Like the pressure had lifted. But then a man approached. Late 30s. Expensive clothes, smug expression. Noah Simon. Yes. I'm David Morrison. I coach the team from Phillips Exeter Academy. I watched your work on round 1. Very impressive. Thank you. Tell me who's your coach, your trainer. You must have access to extraordinary resources. Noah glanced at Richard. I don't have a coach, just my math teacher at Chicago Academy. Morrison's eyebrows rose. Really? No private tutoring, no competition prep programs? No, sir, just me and YouTube videos mostly. Fascinating. Morrison's tone suggested he didn't find it fascinating at all. More like suspicious. And your friend here, Mr. Whitaker? What role does he play? Richard stepped forward. I'm just a friend, here to support Noah. Just a friend. The billionaire CEO is just a friend to a poor kid from Chicago. That's quite a coincidence. It's not a coincidence, it's a friendship. Morrison looked at Noah. Word of advice, son. Be careful who you associate with. Perception matters in competitions like these. You don't want anyone thinking you had unfair advantages. He walked away, left Noah standing there looking confused and hurt. What did he mean by that? Richard's jaw clenched. He's trying to get in your head. Ignore him. But what if he's right? What if people think you're helping me cheat somehow? Noah, listen to me. You earned your spot here. You earned that perfect score. Nobody can take that from you. But what if they try? Then we fight back, together. The 15-minute break ended. Competitors returned to their stations. Round 2 began. This time the problems were brutal. Richard could see the difference immediately. Kids who'd breezy through round 1 now looked panicked, frustrated, defeated. Noah worked steadily. His face showed concentration, but not panic. He was in his element, solving problems that would make most people's brains melt. 45 minutes later, round 2 ended. The judges tallied scores. Out of 64 competitors, only 12 had perfect scores. Noah was one of them. But so was Morrison's student, a kid named Brandon Chen from Phillips Exeter. Arrogant, polished. Everything Noah wasn't. Round 3. 6 problems. 90 minutes. The difficulty ramped up again. Emma got fussy. Richard walked her to the back of the auditorium, fed her a bottle, changed her diaper in the bathroom, came back just as round 3 ended. 8 competitors remained with perfect scores. Noah, Brandon, the girl from China, the boy from Russia, 4 others from elite schools around the world. Dr. Chen took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our finalists for tomorrow's championship round. These 8 extraordinary students will return at 9 a.m. for the final competition. The winner will receive a full scholarship to MIT and be crowned this year's mathematics champion. The room erupted in applause. Richard clapped so hard his hands hurt. Noah stood with the other finalists looking overwhelmed, looking proud, looking like he belonged. But as the crowd dispersed, Morrison approached Richard. Mr. Whitaker, a word? Richard handed Emma to Noah. Can you hold her for a minute? Sure. Richard followed Morrison to a quiet corner. What do you want? Morrison smiled. I want to understand your intentions with Noah. My intentions, he's my friend. You met him 2 days ago on a plane. That's not friendship. That's charity, or exploitation. I haven't decided which yet. You don't know anything about us. I know you're rich. I know he's poor. I know there are cameras following your every move. And I know that tomorrow when the real pressure hits Noah is going to crack. Because kids like him always do. Richard stepped closer. Kids like him. Kids without resources, without training, without the infrastructure that creates champions. Noah might be talented, but talent isn't enough at this level. You need polish. You need preparation. You need years of elite coaching. Things money buys. Things Noah doesn't have. He has something better. He has heart, determination, and real mathematical genius. Not manufactured success bought by rich parents. Morrison's smile widened. We'll see tomorrow. When Brandon crushes him, when Noah realizes he doesn't belong here, and when you realize your charity project was just feel-good theater. He walked away. Richard stood there trembling with rage. Noah appeared beside him, Emma in his arms. What did he say? Nothing important. Richard, don't lie to me. Richard sighed. Told him. Everything. Morrison's words, his predictions, his condescension. Noah listened. His expression never changed. When Richard finished, Noah was quiet for a long moment. He's right about one thing. What? I don't have what they have. The training, the resources, the fancy schools. Noah looked at Emma. She was playing with his collar, happy, trusting. But my grandma always says God gives everyone different tools. Rich kids get money and tutors. Poor kids get hunger and grit. The question isn't who has better tools. It's who uses their tools better. Richard felt his anger dissolve, replaced by awe. How are you so wise? I'm not wise. I just listen to my grandma. Noah handed Emma back. And right now, she'd tell me to get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. Need company? We could grab dinner. Noah hesitated. Actually, I was thinking I should spend tonight alone. Clear my head. Focus on tomorrow. Richard tried not to feel hurt. Of course, absolutely. Do what you need to do. Don't take it personally. I just need to get in the zone, you know. I understand completely. They walked outside together. London evening settling in, cool and gray and beautiful. Thanks for today, Noah said, for being here, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Always, Noah, always. They hugged. Then Noah headed toward the tube station. Richard watched him go. This kid who'd changed his life, who'd taught him about priorities and presence and what really mattered. Emma cooed. Richard looked down at her. What do you think Princess is our friend going to win tomorrow? She grabbed his nose. He took that as a yes. That night, Richard couldn't sleep again. But this time, it wasn't because of stress or press or social media drama. It was because he kept replaying Morrison's words. Kids like him always crack. What if Morrison was right? What if the pressure was too much? What if Noah froze like he almost did in round one? Richard got up, paced his hotel room. Emma slept peacefully. At least one of them could. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Mr. Whitaker, this is Brandon Chen, Morrison student. Can we talk? It's about tomorrow. Richard stared at the message. Suspicion flooded him. Was this a setup? Some kind of psychological warfare? He typed back. What about tomorrow? Can't say over text. Can you meet me? There's a coffee shop near your hotel. The Red Door. I'm here now. Richard looked at Emma, sleeping, peaceful. He couldn't leave her. I have my daughter with me. That's fine. Please. It's important. Against his better judgment, Richard got dressed. Bundled Emma into her carrier. Walked 3 blocks to the Red Door. Brandon was sitting in the corner. Young, Asian, nervous. Nothing like the arrogant competitor Richard expected. Thank you for coming, Brandon said as Richard sat down. What's this about? It's about Morrison and what he's planning for tomorrow. Richard's stomach clenched. What do you mean planning? Brandon took a breath. He's going to challenge Noah's eligibility. Claim that your involvement constitutes outside coaching. That Noah had unfair advantages. That's insane. I didn't help him with math. I don't even understand the problems. I know, but Morrison doesn't care about truth. He cares about winning, and he sees Noah as a threat, so he's going to try to disqualify him before the final round. Why are you telling me this? Brandon looked down at his hands. Because it's wrong. Because I want to win fairly. And because... He paused. Because I'm tired of people like Morrison using people like me to make themselves look good. What do you mean? I'm his student, yes, but I'm also his trophy, his proof that his methods work. He parades me around, takes credit for my success, and if I ever fail, he makes sure everyone knows it's my failure, not his. That's not coaching. That's exploitation. Richard saw the pain in Brandon's eyes, the exhaustion, the burden of being someone else's success story. What's Morrison's play? How's he going to challenge Noah? He's going to present evidence of your meetings, the breakfast yesterday, your time together preparing. He'll argue that constitutes professional coaching, that Noah should be disqualified for accepting outside help. But every competitor has coaches, teachers, tutors. Yes, but they're registered, approved. You're not, and Morrison will use that technicality to get Noah disqualified. Richard's mind raced. When is he making this challenge? Tomorrow morning, before the final round begins. He's meeting with Dr. Chen right now, presenting his case. We need to stop him. We can't, not directly, but... Brandon leaned forward. What if Noah withdraws your coaching? What if he publicly states that you provided emotional support but no mathematical instruction that removes Morrison's grounds for challenge? Will that work? It should. The rules are clear. Emotional support from family or friends is allowed. Only professional mathematical coaching must be registered. Richard pulled out his phone. Started to text Noah. Stopped. What? Brandon asked. If I tell Noah about this, he'll panic. He needs to focus on tomorrow, not worry about disqualification. So what do? Richard thought for a moment. We call Morrison's bluff. Let him make his challenge. Then I'll publicly clarify my role. Make it clear I provided friendship, not coaching. That might not be enough. It has to be, because I'm not letting that man take this away from Noah, not when he's earned every second of this moment. Brandon nodded slowly. Okay, but be ready. Morrison's ruthless. He'll twist everything, make you look like the villain. Let him try. Richard stood. Thank you for this, for warning me, for choosing integrity over winning. I'm not choosing integrity over winning. I'm choosing to win the right way. There's a difference. Richard smiled. You're a good kid, Brandon. So is Noah. May the best mathematician win tomorrow. They shook hands. Richard walked back to his hotel. Emma slept through everything, peaceful, innocent, unaware that her father was about to go to war. Back in his room, Richard sat at his laptop, typed out a statement, clear, precise, unambiguous. My role with Noah Simon has been that of a friend and mentor. I have provided no mathematical instruction tutoring or coaching of any kind. My support has been emotional and personal in nature. Noah's success in this competition is entirely his own. His brilliance is natural, his preparation was self-directed, and his victory tomorrow, should he achieve it, will be earned through his talent and his determination alone. He read it again, made sure every word was bulletproof. Then he sent it to Dr. Chen, copied Marcus on it, put his phone down. All he could do now was wait. Tomorrow would determine everything, Noah's future, their friendship, whether kindness could survive in a world determined to twist it into something ugly. Richard looked at Emma. She stirred in her sleep, made a soft sound. He picked her up, held her close. Please, he whispered to no one in particular. To God, maybe. To the universe. To whatever force governed justice in this world. Please let tomorrow go right. Let Noah have his moment. Let good people win for once. Emma sighed against his chest. Her tiny hand curled around his finger, and Richard Whittaker, who'd built an empire on calculated risks and strategic decisions, realized he'd just made the biggest gamble of his life. Not with money. Not with business, but with something far more valuable. With trust, with friendship, with hope that maybe, just maybe, the world was still capable of rewarding merit over manipulation. Tomorrow would tell. Richard's phone rang at 6 a.m. Dr. Chen. Mr. Whittaker, we need to meet, now, before the competition begins. His stomach dropped. Morrison made his move. Yes, can you be here in 30 minutes? I'll be there in 20. He hung up, looked at Emma still sleeping, called the hotel concierge, arranged emergency childcare. A woman arrived 15 minutes later, credentials impeccable, references perfect. Emma would be safe. Richard kissed his daughter's forehead. I'll be back soon, Princess. Daddy has to go fight for our friend. He grabbed his jacket, ran outside, caught a cab, made it to Imperial College in 18 minutes. Dr. Chen met him at the entrance. Her expression was unreadable. Where's Morrison? In my office with his lawyer. He brought a lawyer. He's very serious about this challenge. They walked through empty hallways. Richard's footsteps echoed. His heart pounded. Everything they'd worked for. Everything Noah deserved. Coming down to this moment. Dr. Chen opened her office door. Morrison sat behind a desk like he owned it. Next to him, a woman in an expensive suit. Sharp eyes. Predatory smile. Mr. Whitaker, Morrison said. Thank you for joining us. Let's skip the pleasantries. What's your accusation, Hakwa? The lawyer spoke. My client has evidence that you provided unregistered coaching to Noah Simon. This violates Competition Rule 7.3, which states all coaching must be disclosed and approved prior to competition. I didn't coach him. You met with him privately the day before competition for over 4 hours, according to our information. We talked. That's not coaching. You're a successful businessman. You taught him strategy, mental preparation, competitive mindset. That's coaching Mr. Whitaker. Richard turned to Dr. Chen. You received my statement last night. I was clear about my role. I did receive it, but Mr. Morrison raises valid concerns. The rules exist to ensure fair competition. Fair, Richard's voice rose. What's fair about trying to disqualify the most talented kid here because he doesn't come from money? Morrison leaned forward. This isn't about money, it's about rules. Everyone else followed them. Why shouldn't Noah? Because I'm not a coach, I'm a friend. Is friendship against the rules? The lawyer pulled out papers. We have photos of you and Noah at a cafe, at your hotel. Timestamps show extended meetings. Testimony from hotel staff indicates you were working together intensively. Working on what math problems? I couldn't solve those problems if my life depended on it. Then what were you working on? Richard hesitated. The truth sounded weak. We talked about confidence, about handling pressure, about believing in yourself. How could he explain that those conversations weren't coaching but friendship? Dr. Chen spoke. Mr. Whitaker, I need to understand. What exactly was the nature of your interactions with Noah? I helped him prepare mentally, that's all. Define mentally. Visualization techniques, breathing exercises, staying calm under pressure. Morrison's lawyer pounced. Those are coaching techniques used by professional sports psychologists, performance coaches. That's exactly what Rule 7.3 prohibits. Richard felt the walls closing in. But I'm not a professional coach. Doesn't matter. The rule says all coaching, professional or otherwise. Dr. Chen looked troubled. Mr. Whitaker, I want to believe you had good intentions, but the rules are clear. If you provided any form of performance enhancement coaching, Noah must be disqualified. You can't be serious. I'm afraid I am, unless you can prove your interactions were purely personal in nature. How do I prove friendship? You can't, Morrison said smugly, which is exactly the problem. Richard's mind raced. There had to be a way, some argument, some evidence. Then he remembered. What about Brandon? Morrison's smile faded. What about him? Your student, Brandon Chen. Where is he right now? Preparing for the final round, as he should be. And who coached him? You right for how many hours, how many days, months, years? That's different. I'm his registered coach. Right. You followed the rules, registered yourself, got approval. But here's my question. Did Brandon want you as his coach, or did you assign yourself to him because he was talented and you wanted credit for his success? Morrison stood. That's irrelevant. Is it because from where I stand you're exploiting that kid, taking credit for his natural ability, and now you're trying to destroy another talented kid because he threatens your student's chances of winning? The lawyer interrupted. This is deflection, Dr. Chen. Mr. Morrison's coaching relationship with Brandon is properly documented. Mr. Whitaker's is not. That's the only relevant fact. Dr. Chen rubbed her temples. Mr. Whitaker, I'm sympathetic to your position, but without evidence that your relationship with Noah was purely personal, I have to consider Morrison's challenge seriously. What kind of evidence? Character witnesses, documentation, something that proves you weren't coaching him for competition purposes. Richard pulled out his phone. I have texts between me and Noah from the past 2 days. Read them. You'll see we talked about his family, his grandmother, his fears about letting people down. That's friendship, not coaching. Dr. Chen took his phone, read through the messages. Her expression softened. These are quite personal. Because we're friends, real friends, not some professional relationship. Morrison scoffed. You met him 3 days ago. That's not friendship. That's a man with a savior complex and a teenager who saw an opportunity. Richard spun on him. You don't know anything about Noah, about his character, his integrity. He's not using me. If anything, I'm using him to learn how to be a better father, to remember what actually matters in life. Touching story doesn't change the rules. There was a knock on the door. Everyone turned. Noah walked in. Richard's heart sank. Noah, what are you doing here? Brandon told me what was happening. I came to set the record straight. Dr. Chen stood. Noah, you should be preparing for the final round. I know, but I can't compete knowing there's a question about my eligibility. Noah looked at Morrison. You want to know if Richard coached me? He didn't. He couldn't. I'm better at math than he'll ever be. Morrison's jaw tightened. Then what did he do? He taught me how to breathe, how to believe in myself, how to remember why I'm here. Noah turned to Dr. Chen. My whole life, people like Morrison have told me I don't belong, that kids from the South Side don't make it to places like this, that I need their help, their programs, their money to succeed. Richard was the first person who said I already have everything I need, that my grandmother's wisdom matters as much as any expensive tutor. That's not coaching. That's friendship. The room fell silent. Dr. Chen looked at Noah. Really looked at him. You understand what's at stake here. If I allow Morrison's challenge, you could be disqualified. I understand, but I also understand that if I win today, I need to win clean, with no questions, no doubts. So if you need to disqualify me to protect the integrity of the competition, do it. I'll live with that. But don't disqualify Richard for being a good person. Don't punish kindness. Morrison's lawyer started to speak. Noah cut her off. And one more thing. Everyone keeps talking about rules, about what's allowed, but nobody's talking about what's right. Richard helped me because I needed help, not with math, with believing I deserved to be here. That's not against any rule. That's just human decency. Dr. Chen set Richard's phone down. Mr. Morrison, I've made my decision. Morrison leaned forward. And Noah Simon will compete in the final round. Richard Whitaker's involvement does not violate Rule 7.3. He provided personal support, not technical coaching. The distinction is clear. That's absurd. You're setting a dangerous precedent. Perhaps, or perhaps I'm recognizing that competition rules were written to prevent unfair advantages, not to prevent friendship. Noah's mathematical ability is his own. His preparation was self-directed. Mr. Whitaker's support was emotional in nature. That's allowed. Morrison stood. I'm filing a formal protest. That's your right, but my decision stands. Noah competes. Dr. Chen looked at her watch, which starts in 40 minutes. Gentlemen, I suggest you use that time to prepare your students, not fight about rules. Morrison stormed out. His lawyer followed. Richard let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Noah turned to him. Thank you for fighting for me. Thank you for standing up for yourself. That took real courage. My grandma always says the truth sets you free, even when it's scary. Dr. Chen smiled. Your grandmother sounds very wise. Now go prepare. You have a championship to win. Noah left. Richard started to follow. Dr. Chen stopped him. Mr. Whitaker, a word. Of course. She closed the door, studied him. You really care about that boy? I do. Why? And please don't give me a generic answer about helping people. I want the truth. Richard thought about the question, about the plane, about Emma crying, about Noah stepping forward when everyone else stepped back. Because he reminded me of something I forgot, that success without humanity is just noise. I've spent 20 years building a company, making money, winning, and somewhere along the way I forgot why any of it mattered. Noah reminded me, with one act of kindness, one moment of compassion, he showed me what real wealth looks like. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. I hope he wins today, not just for himself, but to prove that talent and character can triumph over privilege and access. He will? I know he will. Richard left the office, found Noah in the prep room. The other 7 finalists were there too. Brandon gave him a subtle nod. The others ignored him. How are you feeling? Richard asked. Nervous? Excited? Terrified? Noah laughed. All of it. That's perfect. Channel it, use it, let it fuel you. I keep thinking about my mom, my grandma, everyone who believed in me. What if I let them down? You won't, but even if you don't win, you already made them proud. You made it here, to the final 8. That's extraordinary. It's not enough. Why not? Because they sacrificed everything, worked extra shifts, raised money, believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I owe them a win. Richard put his hands on Noah's shoulders. You don't owe them anything. They invested in you because they love you, not because they expect returns. Win or lose, you're still their champion. Noah's eyes got wet. I really want to win. I know, so go win. They walked to the auditorium together. It was even more packed than yesterday. Word had spread. About Noah, about Richard, about the challenge. Everyone wanted to see what happened next. Richard found his seat. Emma was there with the caretaker. He took his daughter, held her close. She smelled like baby powder and innocence. Let's watch our friend make history, he whispered. Dr. Chen took the stage. Welcome to the championship round. 8 competitors remain. They will face 3 problems of exceptional difficulty. They have 3 hours. The competitor with the most correct solutions in the least amount of time will be crowned champion. She explained the stakes. The MIT scholarship, the prestige, the honor. Then she stepped aside. Competitors, take your stations. Begin. The room went silent. 8 teenagers staring at problems that would break most professional mathematicians. Richard couldn't see the questions from his seat, but he could see Noah's face. Intense, focused, alive. For the first hour, nobody moved much. Just thinking, calculating, exploring approaches. Emma fell asleep in Richard's arms. Richard envied her, wished he could close his eyes and escape the tension. The girl from China submitted an answer. Her screen flashed green. Correct. The room stirred. She'd solved the first problem. 10 minutes later, Brandon submitted. Also correct. 15 minutes after that, Noah submitted. Green? Correct. 5 competitors had solved the first problem. 3 were still working. Hour 2. The second problem proved brutal. Richard watched faces change from confident to frustrated to desperate. The Russian boy submitted an answer. Red. Incorrect. He slumped in his chair. Another competitor from Germany tried. Also wrong. The tension ratcheted higher. One wrong answer could end everything. The Chinese girl submitted. Green. She was 2 for 2. Brandon submitted. Green. Also 2 for 2. Noah was still working. Richard's heart pounded. Come on, Noah. You've got this. Trust yourself. 20 minutes left in hour 2. Noah submitted. The screen seemed to take forever. Green? Correct. Richard wanted to cheer, but the room demanded silence. So he just squeezed Emma and sent all his hope and energy toward Noah through sheer force of will. Hour 3, the final problem. The championship decider. Only 3 competitors had solved both previous problems. Noah, Brandon, the girl from China named Wei. The other 5 were eliminated. Knew it, kept working anyway. For pride, for learning, for the experience. Noah's face showed strain. This problem was different. Harder. Richard could tell by the way Noah kept erasing, restarting, approaching it from different angles. Brandon looked equally frustrated. Wei looked calm, but her pencil wasn't moving. She was stuck too. 30 minutes left. Nobody had submitted. 20 minutes. Still nothing. Richard glanced at Morrison. The coach looked nervous, tapping his foot, watching Brandon with intensity that bordered on obsession. 15 minutes. Wei submitted an answer. Everyone held their breath. Red. Incorrect. She was out. Only Noah and Brandon remained. 10 minutes. Brandon was writing frantically. Noah had stopped, was just staring at his screen. Richard's stomach clenched. Was he giving up accepting second place? 5 minutes. Brandon submitted. The screen loaded. Everyone leaned forward. Green? Correct. Brandon had done it. Solved all 3 problems. Morrison jumped up, pumped his fist, started to celebrate, but the competition wasn't over. Noah still had 5 minutes, still had a chance. Richard watched him. Watched Noah's eyes. They weren't defeated, they were thinking, processing, working through something. Then Noah picked up his pencil, started writing, fast, confident, like something had clicked. 3 minutes left. Noah kept writing. 2 minutes, still writing. 1 minute. Noah stopped, read over his work, nodded to himself. 30 seconds. He submitted his answer. The screen loaded. Richard couldn't breathe. Emma stirred in his arms. The entire room waited. Green. Correct. The room exploded. Not with polite applause. with genuine shock and excitement. Noah had done it. 3 for 3. Same as Brandon. Dr. Chen rushed to her computer, checked something. Her eyes widened. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a remarkable situation. Both Noah Simon and Brandon Chen have solved all 3 problems correctly. However, the championship is determined not just by accuracy, but by time. The competitor who submitted their final answer first is the winner. Richard's heart stopped. Brandon had submitted first. He'd won. Noah had come so close but fallen short. Dr. Chen continued. Brandon Chen submitted his final answer at 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 42 seconds. Morrison smiled, started to stand, already accepting victory. Noah Simon submitted his final answer at 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 58 seconds. 16 seconds. Brandon had won by 16 seconds. Richard felt his heart break. Not for himself. For Noah. For the kid who'd worked so hard. Come so far. Lost by 16 seconds. But Noah didn't look devastated. He stood, walked to Brandon, extended his hand. Congratulations, you earned it. Brandon shook his hand, but his face looked strange, conflicted. Noah, You were better today, fair and square. Dr. Chen approached with a trophy, started to hand it to Brandon, then stopped. Wait, I'm receiving a message from the judges. She looked at her tablet, her expression changed. There's been a protest filed by Brandon Chen. Morrison jumped up. What? No, Brandon, what are you doing? Brandon stepped forward. I'm protesting my own victory. The room went silent. Brandon, you can't. Yes, I can, and I am. Brandon turned to Dr. Chen. My final answer was wrong. No, it wasn't. The system marked it correct. The system made an error. I made a calculation mistake in the 3rd step. My answer worked, but my methodology was flawed. Noah's answer was perfect. His methodology was flawless. He deserves to win. Morrison grabbed Brandon's arm. Don't do this. Don't throw away everything we worked for. Brandon pulled away. We didn't work for it. I did. And I'm not throwing it away. I'm choosing integrity over victory. Something you never taught me. He walked to Noah. You're the better mathematician. Everyone here knows it. I just got lucky with time. But luck isn't the same as skill. You earned this. Noah looked stunned. Brandon, you don't have to. Yes, I do, because if I don't, I'm no better than Morrison, using people, taking credit I don't deserve. I want to win, but I want to win honestly, and honestly, you're the champion. Dr. Chen pulled up both answers on the main screen, showed them to the judges. They conferred, argued, debated. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Finally, Dr. Chen returned to the microphone. After careful review, the judges have determined that while Brandon Chen's answer produced the correct result, his methodology contained a minor error that under normal circumstances should have yielded an incorrect answer. Noah Simon's methodology was flawless. Therefore, the judges award the championship to Noah Simon of Chicago, United States. The room erupted again, louder this time, people standing, cheering. Noah looked like he might faint. Richard handed Emma to the caretaker, rushed down the aisle, reached Noah just as Dr. Chen handed him the trophy. They hugged. Both crying, both laughing, both overwhelmed by the impossible journey that led to this moment. You did it, Richard said. You actually did it. We did it. I couldn't have done this without you. Yes, you could have. This was always in you. I just helped you see it. Noah's phone rang. He answered. Hello, Mom, I won. I won. He listened, started crying harder. I know. I love you too. Tell Grandma I love her. Tell everyone I love them. He hung up, looked at Richard. My mom says thank you for believing in her son, for being there when she couldn't be. It was my honor. Brandon approached, extended his hand to Noah. Congratulations, champion. Noah pulled him into a hug instead. Thank you for your integrity, for choosing what's right. That's what real competitors do. Morrison stormed past, didn't look at Brandon, didn't acknowledge anyone, just left. The lawyer scurried after him. Dr. Chen approached. Noah, we need you for photographs, press interviews. The MIT representative wants to discuss your scholarship. Can Richard come with me? Of course, he's part of your story now. They spent the next 3 hours doing interviews, taking photos, celebrating. Emma woke up halfway through, cooed and smiled for the cameras. The perfect ending to a perfect day. As the crowds thinned and the excitement faded, Richard found himself alone with Noah and Brandon. "So what happens now?" Noah asked. Richard smiled. "Now you go home, tell your grandmother everything, let your community celebrate. Then in the fall you go to MIT and change the world. And you? I go home too, be a better father to Emma. Maybe think about what really matters in life. Will I see you again? Are you kidding? You think I'm letting my daughter's favorite person disappear? You're stuck with us now." Noah grinned. "Good, because I'm going to need help adjusting to MIT. College is scary." "Not as scary as facing down Morrison this morning. If you can do that, you can do anything." Brandon cleared his throat. "If it's not weird, I'd like to stay in touch too. I could use friends who understand what this world is like, who won't use me for their own glory." "Not weird at all," Noah said. "Champions support each other. They exchanged numbers, made plans, promised to stay connected." As Richard left Imperial College that evening, Emma asleep in his arms, Noah's trophy shining in the London lights, he realized something profound. 3 days ago, he'd been a broken man, a failed husband, an absent father, a billionaire with everything except what mattered. Then a baby cried on a plane, and a poor kid from Chicago's South Side stepped forward. And everything changed. Not because of money, not because of strategy, not because of calculated decisions or business acumen, because of kindness, compassion. The willingness to help a stranger for no reason except that helping was the right thing to do. Noah had taught him that. Emma had taught him that. Even Brandon, in his way, had taught him that. And Richard Whittaker, the man who thought he had all the answers, realized he was just beginning to understand the questions. The flight home felt different. Same plane, same seats. But everything had changed. Richard sat in first class with Emma sleeping peacefully in his arms. No crying, no panic, just contentment. 3 rows back, Noah dozed with his trophy buckled into the seat next to him. The flight attendant had insisted. Said champions deserved extra care. Richard's phone buzzed. Text from Marcus, his PR director. "The story's everywhere. Billionaire and teen champion an unlikely friendship. CNN wants an interview. So does Good Morning America. This is huge, Richard. We need to capitalize." Richard stared at the message, thought about responding, then turned his phone off instead. This wasn't a story to capitalize on. It was a friendship to protect. Emma stirred, opened her eyes, looked up at him with complete trust. He kissed her forehead. "We're going home, princess, back to where we started. Except everything's different now." She grabbed his finger, held tight. 6 months old and already teaching him about unconditional love. The captain's voice crackled overhead. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into Chicago. Local time is 3:47 p.m. Welcome home." Noah woke up, stretched, looked out the window at the city appearing below. "You okay?" Richard called back to him. "Yeah, just thinking about my grandma, about seeing her face when I show her this trophy. She's going to lose her mind. She's going to cry, then lecture me about staying humble, then cry some more." Noah smiled. "I can't wait." The plane landed. They collected their luggage, walked through O'Hare together. People recognized them. Some took photos. Most just smiled and nodded. The story had spread, but the tone had shifted. From scandal to inspiration, from judgment to celebration. Richard's driver waited at arrivals. Noah's mom stood beside him. She saw Noah and started running. Didn't care about dignity or decorum. Just ran and grabbed her son and held him like she'd never let go. "You did it? Baby, you did it." "I know, Mom. I know." "Your grandma's waiting at home. The whole neighborhood's there. They've been celebrating since yesterday. Mr. Johnson closed his restaurant. Miss Williams brought her whole church. Everyone's so proud." Noah pulled back. "Mom, this is Richard and Emma." Noah's mom turned. She was younger than Richard expected. Early 40s, maybe. Tired eyes, but a warm smile. She extended her hand. "Thank you for everything you did for my son. He did more for me than I did for him." "That sounds like Noah, always giving more than he takes." She looked at Emma. "Your daughter's beautiful." "Thank you. Noah taught me how to take care of her, how to be present. That's my mama's influence. She raised us to help people, even strangers, especially strangers." Richard's driver stepped forward. "Sir, we should get going. Traffic's building." Richard hesitated. "Actually, can you take Noah and his mom home first? I want to meet his grandmother." Noah's mom looked surprised. "Mr. Whittaker, you don't have to." "I want to, if that's okay with you." She glanced at Noah. He nodded. "It's okay, Mom. Richard's family now." The word hit Richard like a punch. Family. This kid he'd met 4 days ago on a plane called him family. They loaded into the car, drove through Chicago. Richard watched the city change as they headed south, gleaming skyscrapers giving way to neighborhoods that showed their age, windows with bars, stores with gates, but also community, people sitting on porches, kids playing basketball, life happening. "This is it," Noah said. "Home." The car stopped in front of a small house. Modest, well-kept, flowers in the window boxes, an American flag on the porch. Dozens of people crowded the lawn and street. When Noah stepped out, they erupted. "There he is! There's our champion!" An elderly woman pushed through the crowd. Tiny, maybe 5 feet tall, but her presence filled the space. She grabbed Noah's face with both hands. "Let me look at you. Let me see my genius grandson." "Hi, Grandma." "Don't you hi, Grandma me. Get over here." She pulled him into a hug, fierce, protective, full of decades of love. Richard watched with Emma in his arms, feeling like an intruder in this sacred moment. Then Noah's grandmother released him, turned to Richard, studied him with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "So you're the billionaire?" "Yes, ma'am, Richard Whittaker." "I know who you are, read about you, watched the videos, saw everything that happened." She stepped closer. "Question is, why are you really here in my neighborhood at my grandson's homecoming?" The crowd went quiet, everyone watching, waiting. Richard met her gaze. "Because Noah changed my life, and I wanted to thank the woman who raised him, who taught him the values that made that possible." "Values like what?" "Like helping people even when it's inconvenient, like choosing integrity over victory, like seeing the humanity in strangers." Richard shifted Emma to his other arm. "Your grandson taught me how to be a father, how to be present, how to remember what actually matters. I owe him everything." Noah's grandmother studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, you can stay, but if you're here, you're helping. We've got food to serve and tables to set up. Rich or poor, everybody works in this house." Richard smiled. "Yes, ma'am?" The next 3 hours were chaos. Beautiful chaos. Richard found himself serving barbecue to neighbors he'd never met, playing with kids who didn't care about his net worth, listening to stories about Noah growing up, about the community that raised him, about the grandmother who held it all together. Emma was passed from person to person, each one cooing over her, making her laugh, treating her like she belonged, like wealth didn't matter here. Only love mattered. As the sun started setting, Noah found Richard sitting on the porch steps, Emma asleep against his chest. "Thank you for coming, for being here. This meant a lot. Thank you for letting me be part of this, part of your family. You are part of it now. That's how it works here. You show up, you help, your family." Richard felt his throat tighten. "I've been thinking about what comes next, for you, for us. And I want to offer you something, not charity, not pity, a real opportunity." Richard turned to face him. "My company is working on AI projects focused on education, using technology to help kids in underserved communities access quality learning. I want you to lead it." Noah blinked. "What, I'm 17. I'm about to start college." "I know, so you'll start college, get your degree, learn everything MIT can teach you, and during summers, during breaks, you'll work with my team. Learn the business side, the technology side. By the time you graduate, you'll be ready to run the entire division." "Richard, that's insane." "Is it you're a mathematical genius with first-hand experience in communities that need this technology most? You understand both worlds, the academic excellence and the street wisdom. That's rare. That's valuable. That's exactly what this project needs." Noah looked down at his hands. "What if I fail? What if I'm not ready?" "Then you'll learn and try again. That's what I did. That's what every successful person does. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the tuition you pay for it." "My grandma always says nothing in life is free." "Your grandma's right. This isn't free. You'll work hard, harder than you've ever worked, but you'll change lives, starting with your own." Noah's grandmother appeared in the doorway. "That man offering you a job." "Yes, Grandma." "Trying to steal you away from school." "No, ma'am," Richard said quickly. "He'll finish MIT first. This is for after, or during breaks if he wants." She studied Richard again. "What's in it for you?" "Honestly, I get a brilliant mind working on projects that matter. I get to learn from someone who sees the world differently than I do, and I get to be part of something bigger than profit margins and stock prices." "You tired of being rich?" Richard laughed. "No, but I'm tired of being rich and empty. Noah reminded me that wealth without purpose is just numbers on a screen. I want to build something that matters, and I think Noah can help me do that." Noah's grandmother was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "Okay, but you listen to me, Mr. Billionaire. My grandson is not your project, not your redemption story, not your way to feel good about yourself. If you're going to be in his life, you're all in. Good days and bad days, success and failure. You don't get to show up when it's convenient and disappear when it's hard." "I understand." "Do you? Because I've seen men like you before. Men with good intentions and short attention spans. Men who make promises they forget 3 months later. Noah doesn't need that. He needs consistency, reliability, real commitment." Richard stood, walked to her. "Ma'am, I'm not perfect. I'll make mistakes. I'll disappoint people sometimes. But I promise you this, I'm not going anywhere. Noah is family now, and I don't abandon family." She held his gaze, looking for lies, for weakness, for the crack that would prove he was just another rich man playing savior. She didn't find it. "Okay then. Welcome to the family, Mr. Whitaker." She hugged him, brief but genuine. Then she took Emma from his arms. "Let me hold this beautiful baby. Go talk to my grandson. Work out the details of this crazy plan." Richard sat back down next to Noah. They watched the sun set over Chicago, painting the sky orange and pink and gold. "This is really happening," Noah said quietly. "Only if you want it to." "I do, but I'm scared. What if I'm not smart enough? What if I let you down?" "Noah, you won an international mathematics championship. You stood up to a bully who tried to destroy you. You chose integrity over easy victory. If you can do all that, you can do anything." "But business is different than math." "Not as different as you think. Both require problem solving, pattern recognition, strategic thinking. You already have those skills. I'll teach you the rest." Noah nodded slowly. "Okay, yes, let's do this." They shook hands, then hugged. The billionaire and the teenager. The unlikely friends who found each other because a baby cried on a plane. Richard's phone buzzed. He'd turned it back on an hour ago, text from his lawyer. "Miranda's lawyer called. She wants to discuss custody arrangements. Are you ready for that conversation?" Richard looked at Emma in his grandmother's arms, at his daughter who was laughing and happy and safe, at the life he'd built in just 4 days by learning to be present. He typed back, "Yes, I'm ready. Let's work out a custody arrangement that puts Emma first. And let's do it respectfully. No fighting, no drama, just 2 parents trying to do right by their daughter." He hit send, felt a weight lift. Noah's mom called from inside. "Food's ready. Everyone come eat." The party moved indoors. Richard found himself squeezed around a table with 20 other people, passing plates, sharing stories, laughing at jokes he didn't fully understand but enjoyed anyway. Noah's grandmother sat at the head of the table, watching everything, making sure everyone was fed, everyone was happy, everyone was family. "Mr. Whitaker," she called out, "tell us about your company, what you do." Richard swallowed his food. "We develop artificial intelligence systems, machine learning, data analytics, helping companies make better decisions through technology." Sounds complicated. It is, but at its core, it's about solving problems, finding patterns, making connections that weren't obvious before, like what Noah does with math. "Exactly like that," she smiled. "Then maybe you two are more similar than different." "Maybe we are." After dinner, as people started leaving, Noah walked Richard to his car. The driver had been waiting patiently for hours, probably the longest he'd ever stayed in this neighborhood. "So I'll see you soon," Noah asked. "Count on it. I'll be at MIT for your orientation, help you move into the dorms, embarrass you in front of your new classmates." "Please don't." "Too late. I'm already planning my outfit. Something really uncool, really dad-like." Noah laughed. "You're the worst." "I'm the best. You just don't know it yet." They hugged one more time. Richard got in the car with Emma, drove away from the south side, back toward downtown, back toward his expensive penthouse and his complicated life. But nothing felt complicated anymore. Everything felt clear, obvious, simple. Love your kids, help your friends, show up, be present, choose people over profit, choose character over status, choose what matters. That's what Noah taught him. That's what Emma needed from him. That's what he'd been missing for 40 years. His phone rang. Marcus again. Richard answered. "Marcus." "Finally. Where have you been? Do you have any idea how many opportunities you're missing? CNN, Today Show, book deals, speaking engagements. You could make millions off this story." "I don't want to make millions off this story." "What?" What, why not? Because it's not a story. It's my life, Noah's life, Emma's life, and we're not selling it. Richard, be reasonable. This is peak publicity. In 3 weeks, nobody will care. You need to strike while, no, I need to be a father, a friend, a person. The publicity can wait. Or better yet, it can disappear completely. Silence on the other end. Marcus, you've changed. I have. Is this permanent, or are you having some kind of midlife crisis? Richard looked at Emma sleeping in her car seat, at his daughter who'd stopped crying because he learned to be calm, to be confident, to be present. It's permanent, and it's not a crisis. It's an awakening. What does that mean for the company? It means I'm going to run it differently, make decisions differently, prioritize differently. We're going to start investing in projects that matter. Education, community development, social good, not just profit. Shareholders won't like that. Some will, some won't, but it's happening anyway. Richard took a breath. And if they don't like it, they can replace me. I'm okay with that. You're not serious. I am. Dead serious. For the first time in my life, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not going to waste another second doing anything else. Marcus was quiet again. Then he laughed. Soft, surprised. You really have changed. I really have. Okay then, I'll cancel the interviews, handle the press, buy you some space to figure this out. Thank you, Marcus. Just promise me one thing. What? Don't lose the drive, the ambition, the thing that made you successful. You can be a good person and still be a great CEO. Richard smiled. That's exactly what I'm planning to be. He hung up. The car pulled up to his building. The doorman rushed to help with Emma. The concierge asked about his trip. Everyone acting like the world hadn't completely shifted, but it had, at least for Richard. He took Emma upstairs, put her to bed in her nursery, stood watching her sleep, this tiny human who'd changed everything, who'd cried on a plane and set in motion a series of events that redefined his entire life. I'm going to be better, he whispered. For you, because of you, I promise. His phone buzzed one more time. Text from Noah. Just wanted to say thanks again, for everything, for believing in me, for being there, for being family. My grandma says you're welcome anytime, and she never says that to strangers, so I guess you're not a stranger anymore. Richard typed back through tears he didn't try to hide. Neither are you. See you soon, champ. Love you, kid. Love you too. Richard set his phone down, walked to his living room window, looked out at Chicago spreading below him, at the city that contained so many different worlds, rich and poor, north and south, privilege and struggle. 4 days ago, he'd looked out this same window and felt nothing. Just saw buildings and lights and distance. Now he saw community, connection, possibility. He saw Noah's neighborhood, his grandmother's house, the people who'd welcomed him with open arms and barbecue and unconditional acceptance. He saw Emma's future, not just wealth and opportunity, but character and compassion and the kind of wisdom that money couldn't buy. He saw his own future too, not just as a CEO, but as a father, a friend, a man who finally understood what success actually meant. And it all started because a baby cried on a plane, because a poor black teenager from Chicago's South Side had the courage to help a stranger, because kindness, real kindness, still existed in a world that often felt too broken to believe in it. Richard closed his eyes, said a prayer to whoever was listening, thanked them for the crying baby, for the brave teenager, for the grandmother who raised him right, for the second chance he didn't deserve but received anyway. Then he went to bed, for the first time in months he slept peacefully, deeply, without anxiety or regret or the gnawing feeling that he was missing something important, because he wasn't missing anything anymore. He'd found it, on a plane, in a math competition, in a community that taught him more in 3 hours than his Ivy League education taught him in 4 years. He'd found what mattered, and he was never letting it go. 6 months later, Richard stood in Noah's dorm room at MIT, helping him unpack, hanging posters, building furniture, being present. Emma toddled around the room, walking now, talking now, calling Noah No-No because she couldn't quite say his name yet. This is surreal, Noah said. I'm actually here, at MIT. You earned it, every second of it, because you believed in me. No, because you believed in yourself. I just reminded you. Noah's roommate arrived, a kid from California, friendly, smart, intimidated by the trophy on Noah's desk. You're the guy who won in London. Yeah, that's me. That's insane. I barely qualified for state competitions. We all start somewhere, just keep working. Richard watched Noah encourage this stranger, lift him up, share his story without arrogance, just genuine desire to help. That's who Noah was. That's who he'd always been. Richard hadn't created that, hadn't manufactured it, just recognized it, nurtured it, protected it. They finished unpacking, walked around campus, got lunch at a student cafe. Emma charmed everyone she met. Noah soaked it all in, the history, the prestige, the opportunity. I start work with your company next summer, Noah said as they walked back to his dorm. Only if you want to, no pressure. I want to. I've been thinking about it. About the kids in my neighborhood. About giving them access to the same technology that rich kids have. About leveling the playing field. That's exactly what we're going to do. Promise? Promise. We're going to change the world, Noah. One community at a time. One kid at a time. Starting with yours. Noah smiled. My grandma's going to love that. They said goodbye at the dorm entrance. Emma cried, reached for Noah. Didn't want him to go. I know, Princess, Richard said. But No has to stay here and learn, so he can help other kids like him. We'll see him soon. Noah kissed Emma's forehead, hugged Richard. Thank you for all of this, for everything. Thank you for teaching me how to be human again. Richard drove away from MIT. Emma fell asleep in her car seat. He turned on the radio, some song about destiny and second chances and the ways strangers become family. He thought about the plane, about Emma crying, about being at rock bottom, about feeling like the worst father in the world. Then he thought about Noah walking up the aisle, asking to help, changing everything with simple kindness. Some people believed in fate, in destiny, in divine intervention. Richard didn't know what he believed anymore, but he knew this. That cry, that moment, that connection, it saved him, saved Emma, saved Noah in ways neither of them expected. A billionaire's baby cried on a plane. A poor black boy did the unthinkable, and 2 lives were forever changed. Not by money, not by status, not by anything the world says matters. By compassion, by courage, by the simple truth that sometimes the people who need help most are the ones who look like they have everything, and sometimes the people who can help most are the ones the world tells you to ignore. Richard would never ignore anyone again, never assume, never judge, never forget the lesson that Noah and his grandmother and his community taught him. Everyone matters. Everyone has value. Everyone deserves to be seen. That's what it meant to be human, to be present, to be awake. And Richard Whittaker, the billionaire who almost lost everything while gaining nothing, was finally truly, completely awake.